In this lesson, we working with MD settings by uploading an already made fabric from the MD library. So you can get an access on that by going to simulation mode here in the top right corner, clicking on it, select animation from the drop down menu, and we can get an access to the library to the left side, and we are going to choose outfit with the white sweater and splitted dress. So just double click on it. We don't need to save and load the pose. It's loaded. We can go back to simulation mode. Well, we have finished garment like this. There are few ways by which we can customize the 3D view. The display option for the clothing can be found on the top left side, and if we click on the first icon, we can see number of details that we can switch on and off by clicking on them. So we can trim on and off the visibility of the cloth. For instance, we can turn on the pressure points, but they are only visible if we are under simulation mode. So I am going to click on this arrow right here, so it turns blue, and now you can see the pressure point. That basically means where the garment is touching the skin, little tighter than the rest of the garment. Let's off the simulation mode. Then we have seam line and internal lines. Basically it's the wireframe view of the cloth like this. There are some other things like 3D baseline, pins, buttons, okay, and so on. If we take a look at the second icon, you can see the second icon has display settings. Okay, so one of the most useful settings being the arrangement point, and if I turn on, you can see that our avatar is grouped with these blue dots that are all around her body and are made for wrapping clothing around her. So if I quickly demonstrate that by going to the 2D window and grab the rectangle tool and draw a rectangle, just I have created a simple rectangle. It doesn't matter what the dimensions are at this point. And while having the rectangle selected, if I hover my mouse around the blue points, you can see the rectangle is wrapping around her body. So if I want to turn on her neck, I can simply press this arrangement point right here, and I have it wrapped around her neck. I have to reduce the height, so just select and reduce the height. Now it's okay. So this is very simple, and it's make my work and my sewing process extremely easier. Now I can take my transform pattern tool and delete this. Let's go back to the avatar display settings and turn this off. Now another thing that also very important is X-ray joints that are meant for basically posing. See, you can click any joint and you can rotate this. Okay, this is very useful. Let's turn off these X-ray joints. Next icon shows measurement. Okay, just turn off this measurement icon. The third icon, let's just choose between different textures. So first is thick textures. You apply thickness, maybe a monochrome variation or a invisible one, and last one is constraint map. If we examine this, we can see that the color red indicates where the clothing is tighter to her body, and the green indicates where it's looser on her. So let's just go back to the default texture surface option, and the last option or last icon is avatar, and you can have different settings for your avatar. So that's pretty much wrap up the left toolbar on the 3D window. Now if you take a look at the 2D patterns on the right, you can see that this side is made up of patterns in the front, and this side contains patterns from the back. The top of the sweater is made up from simple shape using the polygon tool, and the dress you can see is made up of belt that has 4 rectangles, and the dress itself that has 2 rectangles. Okay, both made with rectangle tool. Now once we have the patterns lie down like this, you can take the transform pattern tool, which I have selected right now, and its shortcut is A on your keyboard, and I am able to pick up the patterns and move them around, and you can see that it has no effects in the 3D window. Okay, so you can arrange them in any way you want, but I encourage you to find the system that works best for you. But usually the back patterns are placed to the right of the front patterns, just like they are here, simply because it's easier when you are sewing. Apart from the moving around the patterns, we can also rotate the patterns with the help of these tools. Now we are familiar with the separate pieces of patterns. Let's have a look how to stitch them together. We can make the seam line visible in the 2D window by going to Edit Sewing Tool available under B shortcut. You can see if we inspect the front pattern that the front two patterns are connected together in the middle, and the same is with the back patterns. Okay, and if we take a look at the collar, we can see it is also stitched together to the front pattern, and the front sides are stitched to the back sides. Now I can also see these seam lines in the 3D window. If I pull these patterns apart, I will be able to see them here as well. Now the reason why I do this, because I am off simulation mode. You can see the arrow in gray mode. That means I am currently not simulating, and if I press spacebar or simply press this arrow right here, the patterns jumped right back together, generating these effects. But of course I don't need to stick to these results. I can also come into the 3D window and grab the garment and alter the overall effects and shape of the clothes as well. So this is very neat. This is very cool feature, and let's say if I want to have these sleeves push up a bit, simply just come in and manually push them up like this. If we are not happy with the draping, maybe our garment not simulating properly, and we would like to go back to beginning, we can reset the patterns by using these two buttons, and we have the reset 2D arrangement and reset 3D arrangement. And let's go to simulation mode. If I use this button reset 2D arrangement, you can see that it put all patterns back to the position as they are in the 2D window. So you can see the position is exactly the same. Ctrl Z. If I use other buttons 3D arrangement, now for some reason this presets, it should go back to the position that I put my patterns right before simulating in the 3D window. Maybe some reason this preset doesn't achieve that. It should work flawlessly in your own garments. So let's go back with Ctrl Z. In next lesson, we are talking about wind and light properties. Thank you.